Just So You Know, an all-you-can-hear buffet full of isms, asms, and what this? With host J.Flo.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just So You Know. Today, I am joined by a beautiful woman who is in way better shape than most, and I love to hate her for it. The first time she ever knocked on my door and said she was a personal trainer, I slammed the door in her face and ate a bag of Doritos. Just kidding, it's not true, but it totally could have happened. She's a single mom navigating solo parenting during the holidays and in a pandemic, and gives great input on giving ourselves grace. We talk about her experience with COVID-19, nutritional supplements, and the pursuit of her second act of becoming I gotta think about this one, neurolinguistic programming practitioner, along with hypnotherapy and timeline therapy. To be honest, I got lost after she said neurolinguistic, but she's here to tell us more about it. Megan Buckley, welcome to the Just So You Know podcast. I'm so excited that you're here with me finally today.
Yes, I'm so excited too, and thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. So tell me, what is it that you're doing now?
So NLP, the neurolinguistic programming, is basically how language affects your brain. And the way it's going to affect it is really based on that programming. And so it's all of your life experiences and different things that you've kind of gone through throughout the years, whether it's outside, internal, just kind of this chatter that's going on and these decisions that you've made. And then how those words really just kind of affect what your actions are or reactions are.
Okay. What made you go into that?
Well, I've been just going through my journey with fitness and health and wellness and all of that. I kind of, right when I got into it, even just, doing just personal training and my experiences with clients, I was already noticing right away that, one, I'm dealing with just a lot. It's not just that physical, like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds or whatever it is. There's so much that goes into that. And first it was, just a lot of like corrective things, past injuries and those kinds of things. And so I was first going that route of corrective exercise. And then even when I stepped into Pilates, it was kind of the same thing because my training is post-rehabilitative. So it's going through all that, but then doing more of that mind-body work with Pilates and then with gyrotonics, it was really then going into all of the things that are happening in your body physically and how that's connected with your mind. And then really just kind of seeing some of those parallels just play out in that aspect and then also in my own life. And so that really it was catapulted with my separation and divorce, where just wanting to kind of go on my own journey and really seek and find myself and get answers and make changes. It's always that idea that it's that law of attraction. So you're attracting, whatever's going on in you. And so that's what kept coming up with all these clients. And then all of a sudden I just had people, clients, coworkers. I would just meet people, places, and they're just like, yeah, they're like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I don't tell anybody this, but I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Tell me more. So like, okay,
what would you do with this? Do you work in like a medical setting, your own office? What is your next step once you're kind of through the program?
So the way it's kind of laid out is really, really exciting because even at the practitioner level, I'm able to facilitate so many different things and so many changes, like a lot of behavior changes with people because it's very, the way the process and strategies are kind of designed, it's for everybody, for everything, and very kind of generalized. So you're going to get a result. Going into the master practitioner level, that's where it's more fine-tuned really for that specific person, because I'm kind of going to deep dive more into, okay, what's specifically, okay, yeah, you have some anger, but what's specifically with that, and what other things are tied to that? And So at that level, I'll then have the tools to actually do full transformations and breakthroughs, which I can't even wrap my head around because I haven't experienced it myself, and I get to in February. But even the work that I've done just this past month, and through that whole process and getting my own changes and doing that with others has just been so incredibly rewarding that I've been so clear on like, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going. This is the path.
Gotcha. I could tell the excitement that's, coming through on you. I'm like, okay, I could totally tell. I guess when I first thought about you, I remember, I know you as fitness, health guru, oil loving person. What would you suggest as people kind of wrap up this year in terms of keeping their sanity, their health in check? I've basically been eating my feelings for like the last 6 weeks. I did so good until like the fall hit. And then I was like, all right, now I'm starting to eat my feelings.
Yeah. And I know for me, what I'm most excited about, especially stepping into this line of work, is, these are the idea of coaching somebody through different things and different seasons and chapters and parts of their life. I've been doing for so long, and now I just kind of have like more of a fine-tuned way. And it's like, I look at it as like, it's the final puzzle piece to like bring the picture together. And where now, when I had tools before, but I wasn't exactly sure how to use them, or maybe they didn't work for everybody, like now I have that. And I feel, especially with this year, and just again, the conversations that I've had with people, and it's just so many people just feel so lost and not sure what to do, and their whole world has been turned upside down, and definitely mine included. I started this year, I was working at a corporation, and which was an employee, which that's not my thing anyway. So I was already struggling with, I'm a good employee, but I'm not like an employee. Right. And just because I don't like to be in boxes, I like to be like, okay, that box is cute, but what's all this space around? Right. And so it's really, I think that's what's happening with so many people, is that you have these people that are having these like aha moments, like, oh my God, now I know what I need to do. Like I'm kind of being pushed into this, whereas I was kind of comfortable before, and we were made uncomfortable to like catapult to that next level. And then there are some people that are still like, oh, I don't know. And then it just goes into that, like, that's where, we get that depression and that just a lot of those things that are coming up for people. And it's definitely the biggest thing that I know that has helped me, and I've really seen help other people, is as uncomfortable as it can be at the beginning, it's just reaching out and getting support and finding that one person or that one community or that one anonymous number, that there's so many out there, so many outlets, and it's just finding that to, just because a lot of times we just get to this point where we cannot dig ourselves out anymore and we need that help, or we don't have that. And so it's that's where it's really important to surround yourself so that you have people that are calling you out and saying, hey, something's going on with you. Something's coming up. You're distancing, and almost kind of, not forcing themselves on you is probably not the right language, but really just, they can see more in you than you can see in yourself at that point. They know that you're capable, that you're worthy. And so it's that person that's there to like give that hand, to shine that light.
I think a lot of times we know everybody's going through stuff, and we don't, we get in our own heads and think, oh, I don't want to put my nose in their business where it doesn't belong. Or, maybe they don't want to talk about it. And we just get in our own heads instead of actually reaching out. Often a friend from the past will come into my head. I'm like, oh, I should send them a text. I should do this. I should call them. And I don't. And then I find out like a week or two later, they were in the hospital. A parent was sick. And I'm like, damn, if only I had just reached out, maybe, I could have helped them or brought them dinner or something. And I'm always like, next time somebody crosses my mind, I need to just reach out, which I think is probably one of the reasons why I also was reaching out to you, because we used to be neighbors.
I missed that. I missed that house. Hindsight is 2020, and I will say I have had the conversation with because again, now I'm in this time where I am single, I'm divorced, and it's crazy. Like I stepped into this situation and I'm like, I have nobody, I need to rebuild. Everybody I know is married and families, or they're all tied to him. And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I've definitely rebuilt. And it's just funny, especially this year, how many women I've attracted that are in my same position, have gone through it, are going through it. And I've had that conversation with them where I said, there was one woman in particular, I used to work with her, and I said, because she's like, oh, I don't want to be, and I said, listen, that was me too. I just wanted out. I just wanted it to be done. I wanted to be nice. I wanted it to be fair. I said, but at the same point, like where I'm at right now, like it's not fair. I'm the one, yes, I made the decision to leave, and but I didn't do it just for me. Like it was clearly what was best for our family.
Mm-hmm.
He will do that as well. Like our kids are thriving. Clearly it was a good move on all parts. But, I am having to start all over.
Mm-hmm.
Like his established, I supported that. And to where I'm then like, okay, what am I going to do? Like I have a short time frame where I do have the support financially from him, but that also gives me that window of like, okay, I need to make something happen like right now.
Yeah.
And so, at the moment it was, positioned to me as like, oh, it's just so much and it's a headache and it's going to be expensive for you. And like, you're doing me a favor. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to argue with you, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And now, I look on it and I'm like, okay, well, first off, he ended up moving anyway. So at least one of us could have stayed in the home that our kids were growing up in. I loved that house. I loved that neighborhood. I loved my neighbors. Mm-hmm. And also, it actually would have put me in a really good position, just being that, that isn't a house that, I may or may not come the 4-year mark be able to afford. Mm-hmm. So enough time to where, okay, say that 4 years is up, I can't financially afford it. Oh, but I can sell it and downgrade. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a good amount of equity in that house. I have a good amount of equity in this. And I still would have been in a better position, I believe. So yeah, I always say that to my other moms out there, like, listen, I get that you want to be fair. I get you want to be nice. And also you look at the big picture, look at all the possibilities, especially for women that were in my position where they were stay-at-home moms and had either no income, very little income, just doing something. Like, you're starting over. So what's going to be in the best interest for you and your children? And again, that's something, especially like in regards to like a house, you can get rid of that. You can rent it out if you can't sell it, and then that's additional income most likely, or you can sell it and most likely you're going to downgrade like I would in my situation. And so you're from like a $750,000 home to like $400,000 home.
So how is single momhood?
It's been a roller coaster for sure. And, I will say too, especially with this last training that I've done and stepping into this new coaching. And, like I said, I experienced it myself. So I released a lot of my stuff. And that put me in a place where finally, my daughter will be 14. I'm finally, I know. I had to take a moment and process what I just said. But yeah, actually on your birthday.
Oh, that's right. Next month. Oh my God. So that means when I met you, she was Harlow's age, 8, because it was about 6 years ago. It creeps to me. It's like, it's so trippy when like the people across the street, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have pictures of when your kid was my kid's age and my kid was like 5 years younger. It's bizarre. But anyway, so your daughter's turning 14.
She's almost 14. So I've been a mom for almost 14 years, and it hasn't been until recently, and really just the last couple months probably, that I am actually like enjoying it.
It's rough.
Well, and I look at even like being married and that whole situation, it's just, and I know that there's so many moms that are in my position where it's just, you're so stressed out. There are so many things that are put on us. We have to wear all of these hats. And so it's all the things are coming at us. And so you lose sight of the purpose of it all and what it is that you're doing. And that's, in marriage, in relationships, in, motherhood, is that we get so stuck in what's going on and all this stuff up here that we forget to just enjoy it and giving ourselves grace when things do come up.
Oh, yes. Like you forgot an assignment. I mean, now that they're not in school, you can't forget like Spirit Day or anything like that. But gosh, it was my kid she was in kindergarten. So yeah, it was shortly after I'd started a job. Was working from home. I lost that job and I went back to work, and my kid wanted to wear a hat. So I let her take the hat. I said, all right, and it blew off when we were walking up to the school. And we were running late, and I'm like, she wanted it. And I'm like, no, you're not taking your hat. It's going to blow away. And then the teacher posted a picture on their little class site that it was hat day. So I felt bad. I'm like, now I'm back in an office. I'm not here for her. And I took her hat off as she was walking into school because it was windy and I didn't want it to blow away. Yeah. The giving the grace part is a really, I feel like, very difficult to come by. And anytime, for the self-care, it becomes selfish in a way, like, or at least we think it is, but otherwise we can't function if we don't do it. And I think the situation we're in now with being home and not going anywhere, I've just kind of morphed into like this blob of Groundhog Day, mom, like there's nothing other than walking or like taking a little hike or something. Like there's nothing really, I feel like I do anymore that's solely focused on me. So that's kind of why I'm podcasting. But
well, and that is definitely something that I've gotten more into the practice of. And again, building that support system where you can reach out and say like, okay, this is happening and what's going on. Like I just had a moment a couple weeks ago, and it was right after the training. And again, when you go through any transformative work of any kind, or you really like kind of deep dive into your stuff that's going on, your body recalibrates after that. And so there's other things that will come up because now you have these like heightened awarenesses. And so because I was going through all of these things, and again, like with the kids homeschooling, there are times where they're here, but maybe I was like super busy one day, and because I've gotten to just become aware of myself, I know when I need to kind of have like a down day, and I have those down days. And then if I have my kids, it creeps up like, oh, well, I should be doing something. I should be like, what, but why? Why should I be, like, why cleaning the baseboards? Why should I be organizing the fridge? Why should I be, going through all of my, like, why? For what purpose am I feeling like I have like to just do it because this is like what the mom does?
Exactly.
Throw it out. Just throw it out. Just because, and what somebody had told me recently that I found very valuable is, like, because I said, oh, I feel like I should be doing something for my kids or, whatever. And they're like, okay, but are they making you feel bad for that? Or saying that they expect you to do something, and this could go for anybody that you feel like you maybe have let down. Are they actually doing something to make you feel that way? Or is that just something how you feel because of whatever? And then that's when it gives you that moment of, you're right. So why am I allowing this to make me feel this way when it's not even a thing? Like, I just made this up. It's not even a thing.
That's actually a very good point. I think that it's mostly the pressure that we put on ourselves to do the right things. You know, it's such a busy digital world that if we do miss something or we forget something, which I have a great forgetful story here in a second, it eats away at us. And I like that, are your kids making you feel bad about it? So yesterday, my daughter is in a drama class from 4 to 5. And I had to go immediately after drop off. A friend was seeking out donations for this charity to help give gifts for Christmas. So I had to go exchange something and get the better size. So I said, okay, I'm going to drop you off at drama. I'm going to run to Target right across the street and make this exchange. And then I will go pick you up chicken nuggets, because we were going to be on the road. And I knew that when I was dropping the stuff off, I was probably going to sit and chat with a friend for a little bit. I go to Target, I do my stuff, and I'm like, gosh, I have like 30 minutes to kill. What am I going to do? Sit in the parking lot at the library and wait for her? She gets in the car and goes, did you get my chicken nuggets? And I was like, I forgot. I'm so sorry. No. And I told her, I said, I literally just sat here for the last like 25 minutes playing a game on my phone because it didn't even dawn on me. Thankfully, my friend recovered and she had snacks and whatnot. And we got our nuggets afterward, but that just bothered me. I'm like, I forgot to feed my kid.
I know. Well, and I think just some of that too, like even when we're, like putting all this stuff on our plate, it gets to a point where it's good to just sit there and kind of look and say, okay, how is all of this serving me? And like, for what purpose am I doing all of this? So that's like a good way to kind of evaluate and then maybe prioritize things like, okay, is this really necessary? Am I doing it for myself or am I doing it for somebody else? Like genuine, even like say like kind of like a volunteer or service-based kind of thing. Are you doing it because that's something that really, really fills you up and you feel called to do? Or are you doing it out of like necessity or you feel like you're supposed to do it? And then also the other thing is that, when we go back and think about things that are like quote unquote problems, like, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, okay. So again, we got to look at that and say, okay, is it a problem for you? Is it a problem for you? Or is this just somebody else's problem that you've taken on or you've allowed to take on, or you've allowed to tell them that you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing this? It's not actually a problem for you. It's not a problem.
This is really some very interesting stuff. So for quite some time, you were a stay-at-home mom, but you also did your training and whatnot on the side. Yeah. How did you either find value or purpose or validate that role? So kind of not working right now. My therapist calls me the manager of the house to at least probably make me feel better. But it's really hard that we're so caught up in that. And it's new for me. This is really the first time that I haven't had a job, and it's because of the COVID thing that allegedly is going on. So for those who maybe are staying at home and are on this Groundhog Day, did you find any validation? What was that like for you?
I think for me, that was really kind of one of my biggest struggles, really, is, and I remember even being young, like being a teenager and having friends that had stay-at-home moms. And I'm like, I don't understand what is happening here. Like, I don't get it. And because for most of them, like, they were college educated, they had all these accolades, and they just stay home. Like, this is like my language to myself and to others, like, oh, they just stay home. And so it ended up that's just kind of how things played out is, when I had my daughter, her dad worked so much. I mean, it's a minimum 12-hour day, 6-7 days a week at times. And so it really did not make sense for our household for me to go to work. I attempted to go to work when she was 6 months old. And at that time, when I got pregnant with her and prior for years, I had been in retail and I was in management and visuals and all of that. And so I stepped right back into that. And that it didn't make sense because, again, it's not a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday. It's weekends, it's evenings. And that was just too hard for our home. And also just, me being that new mom, it was just pulling me in different ways. And so getting to stay home with her was so rewarding. And for both of my kids, like I look back on, I'm like, I'm so thankful that I had that time. And also, especially coming up with my second one, I'm like, oh my God, I need something, because I was realizing how staying at home was so hard and so difficult. And it's funny, I actually had this conversation with someone recently, because I was relating it to, like a lot of the women, and myself included, when we're stay-at-home moms, like that is what we do. We get up, we do for the kids, we're taking care of the house, we're running the errands and doing all the stuff. And so then by the time our spouse or companion or whoever gets home, we're like, oh my God, okay, here, take it. And, at the same time, like they are coming home from a day where they just did all their stuff too. And so it's like, we're wanting breaks from different things. And so it's coming together and saying, okay, but it's so often that conversation never happens. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation, because I just had this like maybe 3 days ago. Where
it's a very relevant topic right now.
Right. And I was just like, my brain is exploding right now because, I was just thinking like, if I could facilitate this perspective with couples to just say like, okay, so what's the most important? Is it like, would there be value in maybe hiring somebody, even if it's just for like an hour, whatever works for, the wife, the mom, whatever, to just say, okay, I just need a break to do my thing. Kids are taken care of, maybe house is taken care of, or something is taken off our plate where we feel like we can relax. So then by the time the spouse gets home, then we don't bombard them because they need their time to relax. We've already had it at some point during the day. So now then you can kind of come together. And, I feel there, there's a possibility that, my personal experience, there was a lot of reasons, but that was definitely one big reason where there was contention, was because, he's out working all day. By the time he gets home, he's exhausted. And I'm like, okay, but I'm done. I need help.
No, it definitely is. I think, being a mom, period, and then when you make it a stay-at-home mom, it's a 24/7 job. Because for the spouse who is out of the house, it's like, oh, you're out of the house. I don't want to burden you with the kid waking up in the middle of the night or school projects or whatnot. I know my household, that has been, even when I was working and not, spousey would have a 2 or 3 hour dinner break in the evening. I'm like, you get to go out and eat dinner with your friends or quietly by yourself. I don't get to eat dinner. Period.
Yeah, right?
I'm
getting the leftovers on the plate.
Yes, I'm having chicken nuggets, pizza rolls, and maybe 2 crackers and a piece of cheese. And an apple slice if I'm being healthy. So it is, I think, I'm not generalizing all women, but for myself and some others I know, we harbor that guilt. And I think, maybe you're still way younger than me, but like our kind of era or generation, like that's what we saw. The moms for us were primarily the caretaker. My dad worked. My mom was home until we went to kindergarten, but then she worked at the school. So she was off the same times we were off. If there was a snow day, she was off. If there was a delay, I think she still went in. We'd have to take the bus, God forbid. But that was kind of, my frame of reference growing up, and just kind of thinking, oh, well, even though I work, I'm still the mom, and I have to do everything. I have to make sure that the kids have everything. And, and yeah, that just goes right back to what you said earlier about how like we are just putting that on ourselves, and our kids aren't making us feel bad, for anything. I mean, right now mine's trying to make me feel bad because I won't buy her another iTunes gift card for Roblox. But I think,
Oh, yeah.
two $15 gift cards last week was plenty for a while.
Yeah, the kids they're so funny, especially the younger ones that have grown up in this like technology time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't even know I'm still not even at TikTok reels. Like I'm lost, and I don't care to learn them either. I'm also that, and I've been in so many different like workshops and masterminds and all this, and they're like, well, this is where it's going. I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to be involved because I'm okay with that.
Right.
If the algorithm doesn't go with me, I'm sure it'll change again and it'll loop back around. Like I'm okay with it. I'll accept that.
I know. And you do a great job on your social media though.
I try to keep up. I stay, I stay in my lane. I figured out what I've figured out. I'm good at this. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look at the TikTok and the reels. I'm like, oh, is it really going to last? I find it annoying.
I know. And I mean, I'm trying, like, that's why I Zoom these, because I'm like, well, maybe I'll get a little video teaser or something, like trying to, at least as I listen to podcasts and they say, oh, yeah, do you see this hair clip? And I'm like, no, I don't see this hair clip. But if I had a video, I could see the hair clip. Right. So that's why I do it. And sometimes funny things happen, or we make funny faces, or sometimes nothing exciting even happens. But yeah, I like to describe myself as I'm the age of when like we got our first microwave and my mom couldn't use it. Or like the VCR. Like I am the age of when my mom could not use a VCR or a microwave. And yes, I did say VCR. And I still say tape it. So all the Hallmark movies are on now because it's Christmas season. And the gal across the street, we are obsessed. So I'm like, the new one's on tonight. I'm going to tape it. And Harlow's like, you're going to do what? I'm like, tape it. So what, do you have the kids this year for Christmas?
I do. Well, I have them Christmas Eve to
Okay.
Christmas morning. And then they'll stay until the next morning. And then I get them back because I have them the first week. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm super excited. And this year, like I said, like I'm actually excited and looking forward to it and wanting to do, stuff with the kids, like even for Halloween, cause that's another holiday. I'm just like, and so this year, like we went to Stelly Farm in Utah and had a blast. Why haven't we done this before? And we're now doing this every year. It's so worth the drive. I didn't even tell them where we were going. I'm like, get in the car. Let's go.
So speaking of Utah and Arizona, and this has nothing to do with it, but when we first started talking a couple weeks or a month or so ago about getting together and podcasting, you were recovering from COVID.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, I would love to. You know what? And it's interesting because, especially coming from, like, I'm in the health and fitness industry, and this whole thing has been frustrating, to say the least. Because, again, I'm not big on Western medicine. I feel it has its place and its purpose for certain things. I also feel that there are a lot of things that are overused and just kind of given, especially when it comes to like prescription drugs and those kinds of things. They're just like handed out like candy, and no real, actual practicing of medicine is done in a lot of situations with people and with physicians. And so I definitely, for a number of years, I think since my daughter was little and probably before my son, gone more like the holistic side. And so, just this whole thing and this like scarcity and like fear kind of mindset already. So number one, like even with that mindset, like you're already feeding into lowering your immune system, because when you have stress in your body, that lowers your immune system. And so when you are dealing with fear and you're allowing that fear to take over, like that's, definitely suppressing the immune system. And for so long, like, or even still really, it's not even really talked about of all of these daily natural things that you should be doing or can be doing to help support and boost, your immune system to keep you healthy. And then I know for me in my situation, I went in it with the mindset of, first of all, I don't even get sick very often.
Right.
And, I knew if I did, again, I am aware enough to know that this is something new. It is something different, which is also why it's affecting so many people, because it is new. It is different. We don't have the immunities and things built up in our systems. And then as reports kind of came out and noticing like, okay, it's not killing everybody. It's not making people, so super ill for everybody. Yeah, it's happening for some people, but not for everybody. And so there's so many variables. And so for me, it was just that awareness of, okay, yeah, it's very possible that I could get it, because again, I didn't really quarantine. I just didn't. Had a couple people that I kept in contact with and would semi-distance, but I just did my thing. And, and then, so it was that awareness of it could possibly happen. I know it's not going to be the end of the world, and it probably won't hit me very hard. And so with my experience, I thought that I was getting an ear or sinus infection, because I'll get them usually around this time of year when the season's kind of changing and they're coming up. And so normally how I treat that is I have my essential oils and my different supplements and things to just kind of boost and support that. And so that's my normal protocol. I'm like, okay, I'll just do these things. And usually after a couple days, then it goes away. And so after a couple days, I was just experiencing more pressure in my head. And then I was getting a sore throat. And I'm so tired. And it wasn't until, I think, probably day 4, I started losing my taste and smell. Oh my God. Ooh. And I have my kids, the whole time here. That was my week with the kids. And of course, I tell my daughter, and I'm like, I think I lost my taste. She's like, oh, Mom, you have COVID. You shut your mouth right now. I'm like, no, I don't. It's not no. I have a stuffy nose, and sometimes that'll happen. It's fine. Well, then the next morning, so day 5, I felt worse. I had felt all week. I was so tired. And mind you, I had also signed myself up for a virtual event.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. So I'm on day 2 of this 3-day event where I'm in, calls and on, live situations and trainings and things for an 8 to 9 hour period, when I feel like total crap and I just want to sleep in bed all day and push through, make it happen. The next day is my son's birthday. Yeah. I got tested that day.
Oh gosh.
Talk about mom guilt. Yeah. I had to cancel my son's 9th birthday because I got COVID. And he was but again, going back to
that was my wrong sound effect. I'll have to cut that out. I was going to play the womp, womp, womp.
But I mean, yeah, just going back to that, mom guilt, that was coming on hard. And, but then also reflecting back, he she took it so well. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like a little pat on the back for mom, like I'm doing something right with these kids. Cause
Right.
like it's okay, mom. It's okay. He even, oh, bless his heart. He went into the bathroom at the doctor's office as we were waiting to get tested to go cry and sit on my lap. And I just love on him. But you know, cause since I have separated and divorced, like something changed in him where he like took on this role. Like I'm the man of the house now. I got to take care of mom. Like, and it's so, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, especially with their boys, but it was instantaneous. Like the second we left, he's like, all right, I'm up to bat. Like, and so, yeah, it's so crazy. But, so like that, so I'd say day 5 was probably my worst day. And then it kind of just went from there where all my biggest symptoms were, you know, definitely loss of smell and taste, which aren't still back fully. And it's been almost a couple months. Yeah, it's been 2 months. But it was, like pressure in the head just for everything. Cause all, you know, all of that is like inflamed, and the body aches. Those are like to the bones. Like I finally got a heating pad because I would just take baths like a couple times a day and just sit in the bath. But it was to the point where I couldn't even get comfortable in bed, and I was tired, but I couldn't get comfortable because I just hurt. And then so like just fatigue, body aches. And then what was really weird was, so I would say a full week later, so where are we at? Probably maybe day 10 or so is when I finally started better. And like, I finally had like energy, but it's crazy because for me, it also was like messing with my mind because I'm like, you know, am I doing, like, am I on the right path? I don't even have any motivation to do anything. Like, am I a fraud? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, all these things are coming in my mind, and it's like, girlfriend, just take a nap. And and so then the next day I'm finally feeling better. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. So now I'm finally like, all right, I got to clean the house, and I'm going to like work out. I don't know why. I felt I got to, you know, I got to do all these things. I kid you not, going from my bedroom to the kitchen and back, I got winded.
Oh my gosh.
And that lasted for maybe just a couple days where the oxygen levels in my body still weren't like fully like working or whatever. And like that freaks me out too, because I'm like, I'm in fitness. I have to breathe. Like, this is a problem.
Right.
Like freaking out because I've heard this with some people, that is a lingering symptom. They'll continue to have like lung issues and breathing and all of that stuff. So, I mean, I would just say prior to, during, and then definitely after, just still being very aware. The other thing too that I found interesting was they basically were just like, yeah, you're positive, go home. As long as you don't have symptoms that get worse, you don't have a fever after 10 days, like you're good to go. I'm like, so there's no retest, like no. So I'm just like, okay, this is important, but it's not important. Like, I'm very confused.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much. Don't get tested unless you have symptoms. But I'm like, well, what about all the asymptomatic people? I'm not even going to go there because I'm not in the medical world and I don't leave my house and my immunities are low. But ironically, and this is another thing that baffles my mind. Your kids didn't get it.
Oh, and they were with me the entire time.
The entire time. And that's the thing, like, and I had this talk with somebody, and like then a few days later they tested positive. I'm like, I don't understand who's getting it when people in the same house, one person will get it, or I know another family, husband and child number 1 got it, but wife and child number 2 did not. Like, it's so baffling to me on a whole, and I can't wait till, like, I don't know, it either goes away or there is some kind of like concrete something on it, but they never got it. So you started feeling better and they never asked you to go in for like a negative test?
No. And the other thing too is, one of my good friends is a nurse, and, she was like, oh, okay. Like gave me a list. I think it was maybe, I took a picture of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Close to 10 different supplements to take to boost my immune system. And I think I added in because I had a couple other people like, here, take this. I'm like, I'm taking all of it. And I definitely feel like that helped too. And so it was like B vitamins, D vitamins, C, magnesium, which I take magnesium anyways, or I take a magnesium-based supplement for digestion anyways, and for metabolism. So I'm trying to think of what other ones. There are a couple others too, but I'm like, yeah, I'll take all that. But again, nothing like that was ever discussed or talked about like with the doctors either of like, okay, so what are some things that I should do? Like, they're just like, oh yeah, here. Oh, but I did get a nice bill for my test, which was super great.
Do you think then the virus is a hoax, like some people thought in the beginning? And you don't have to get, it's not a political thing. I just laugh that everyone's like, it's a hoax.
I wouldn't say like hoax, but it's definitely, in my opinion, been, I wouldn't even say kind of blown up, but I would also be very interested to look at if there is any research or information available to show what numbers we're at or who had what prior to quarantining, because there are a lot of people that have come out and you're like, I think I had this in February or January.
Yes.
So it was already out there.
Mm-hmm.
And numbers were kind of going up, but they weren't crazy. And then everybody quarantined, and then everything shot up. And so again, when you go back to like immunology and endocrinology and all that kind of stuff, and it's, again, as with anything, it's like building that immunities, building those things. And again, you also kind of like look historically at when have we ever quarantined healthy people? Like, for what purpose are we doing that? Like, why isn't it, okay, you're compromised, you stay home? And again, and more so than that, it's the removal of choice and I think that's that I know I struggle with, of people, for one, like that victim mentality with that fear mindset of, so I'm a selfish person because I'm going out and living my life because I'm contaminating everybody. I'm like, well, I'm not licking everyone. Like, you're all mine. No, I mean, again, it's, and two, just the shield and the mask and like all of those situations, that to me is just like a false sense of security. It's that idea of like, like a child, like when they're playing hide and seek and they're like, I'm hiding. You're like, really not. You're just covering your eyes. Like I feel like that's so much of our society of like, oh, if I just do this, then it's all okay. And but I'm still going to go and do my things. It's like, okay. It's still there, still going to come. Nothing's changed, so I don't like too many things that don't add up. If there's no consistency, it doesn't make sense logically. So that is my biggest issue with it and problem. If there were consistent in saying, okay, this is the protocol, this is what we do, whatever it is, okay, great. I can get behind that. And if it also presented like somewhat regular with everybody, to then say, oh my gosh, yes, every single person is getting sick, so we must do this to save humanity. But that's not happening.
Right.
So, it's just, I don't know. I think at this point we have so much more information, whereas at the very beginning, like in March, there's so many unknowns. And so all of us were like, well, yeah, we don't know what can happen. And so I guess that makes sense. Yeah, maybe we should be safe. And then as things started coming out, it was like, hold on, but wait, that doesn't make sense. Why is it okay for this business to be open, but this can't? Or why is it okay to be in a group of 4, but not of 5? Like, I'm going to go out to dinner with girlfriends on Friday, and we have a group of 8. So of course, they're limited. So now we have 2
tables,
but they're not going to stop us from getting up and talking. They're not going to stop us from changing seats.
Well, about restaurants. I went out to lunch yesterday with a friend of mine, and you wear your mask walking through the restaurant, and you sit down and take it off. And the server comes up, and you're like, "Hi, yes, thank you." And and I know they're masked. I don't get it. I was never on the hoax wagon. I always just kind of listen and take in the information. Being immunocompromised, I'm like, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm also going to take this time to chill the F out and hang out at home. But I make Target runs just so I could be around germs, because usually at this time of the year when the kids go back to school, September, October, I'm sick. I haven't, knock on wood, gotten sick at all because I don't go anywhere. So I got to get some germs.
I'll come with you. It's fine.
Yeah. Do you still have time? I saw you check your phone, and I didn't know if you have something else, or do you still have time to keep going? Oh, good. Okay. Well, I want to play again. Well, I have 3 other things I wanted to talk about too. Before we play our game, I want to go back to, you talked about supplements. Like I said earlier, you look amazing. I know that you're very much into supplements. Give myself and listeners just what do you recommend taking on for what and why?
It's so funny too, because over the years, especially being in this space, like I've tried so many different things, and then for different seasons of my life, of whatever was happening, whatever was going on. And so, what I have found for sure is, much like prescription drugs, with supplements and holistic, remedies, it's kind of you got to kind of play around with things and see what works for you personally, and what combinations work for you personally, and what dosage works for you. But what I will say too is that for a vast majority of people, I feel, and really for everybody on some level, supplementation is so necessary. And with clients, I always put it into the terms of just asking a general question of, okay, so what are some of your favorite foods? Or what are some things you really like? I will not eat this. I don't care what you put on it. I don't care what amount of money you pay me. I refuse. Like for my mom, she will not eat vegetables. I covered it in cheese and got her to eat it one time, and my dad lost his mind. But and so, and that's where we're getting so we can get a lot of nutrients from our food, and at the same time, our nutrients in our food are a little depleted, and they're not what they used to be. So we have to eat more, consume more to really get the nutrients that our body needs. But again, it goes to absorption of that. So however it's prepared, however it's cooked, what's going on internally, if we're actually absorbing those nutrients. And then 2, are you even eating a variety of things to get all of that? And usually the answer to that is no for both of those. So that's where supplementation is super, super important. Mm-hmm. So for me, getting a good multivitamin that works for you is imperative, especially as we get older, needing to fill in those gaps. For women especially, but for men too, but I feel like more so with women, after our 30s, things just start to kind of decline. And so incorporating digestive enzymes, because those are not, those are not just coming into our bodies naturally. And So digestive enzymes, probiotics, those are two others that I highly, highly recommend. And then also that just goes back to that idea that your gut is your second brain. And so if this isn't healthy, this isn't going to connect. And so it's a domino effect of what's going on. So if nothing else, I would say generally multivitamin, digestive enzymes, probiotics, and probably some omegas too, because with omegas, and you want, depending on what you eat and what you consume, you're generally going to get more of like the 3s and 6s omegas and not the 9s. And 9s is where you're getting it from like the fish oils and, and all of that. And so those are going to be some really good ones to start incorporating to get kind of like just a better balance. And from there, I feel it gets more personalized to whatever that person, either generally for their overall health or maybe just for that season.
And you said magnesium earlier. What was that for?
So for magnesium, I take a supplement that helps with metabolism and digestion. And so that is one, it might even be best to like take a moment to look it up so I'm for sure giving correct information, because I am crazy about information. Like I want to make sure if I'm saying something, I'm like, that's actually the correct thing, and I know what I'm saying.
So I think even at this time of the year, obviously the holidays aren't going to be full of as many parties and gatherings likely as in normal years, but this is the time of year where, their junk food is aplenty, booze is aplenty, the overindulgence, all of that, and the go, the hustle and bustle, I think, mood, kind of energy levels and all that. It's something really to, don't wait till January 1st. You could start December 3rd or 2nd.
Like every hour is a new opportunity. Every day is a new opportunity. And I'm really, really big on that. And, again, it's like, but why are you waiting? Like, what are you waiting for to come into your life or to give you that motivation or that inspiration to finally take that step? And so that's always like a good question. I was like, well, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And sometimes it's like, you know what? Nothing. I don't know, because I thought I needed to wait till Monday. I thought I needed to wait till the 1st. I thought I needed to wait till this new year. And again, when you go back to those like shoulds, those rules of what? And also, when you do make some other decisions, going back to giving yourself grace. It's okay. It's okay. Right. Like we all have choices, and it's just kind of creating that balance of like, oh, okay, so I had the bottle of wine last night. So maybe tonight I won't have a bottle of wine, or maybe for the next couple of nights I won't have another one. Fine.
I know somebody who they had done some growth classes and whatnot, and she always used to say, so what, now what? You had the bottle of wine, so what, now what? So along with grace, so what, now what?
Oh, I like that. So what, now what? I'm going to take that on.
I will remind you of that one in case you forget.
Like, so what now? I'll be like, you're right. Okay. So going back to magnesium, so it's going to be something that's really going to support the transition and absorption of like other nutrients. And so that's why it's good for like that digestion and, metabolism, because again, it's a coenzyme. And so it's kind of like latching on to other things and saying, okay, cool, let's go on for the ride. Like, let's do this. And so that would be, so going back to that.
All right. I want to play a little game. So earlier I asked you for a number between 1 and 4. It's my Lazy Esther topic selector named after my sister whose name is Susan, and I call her Esther. I have a series of 4 topics. So we're either going to talk about you sit on a throne of lies, and when I spin the wheel, I'll elaborate. I was today years old, or confessions of because sometimes the today years old is hard. 21 questions, or a game of this or that. So. "21 questions. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. Okay. 21 questions. I don't know if we'll actually get 21. We'll see. What topic could you give a 20-minute presentation on without any preparation?
Mindset coaching.
I'm going to write down and see how many we get. What incredibly common thing have you never done?
Ridden a motorcycle.
What takes a lot of time but is totally worth it?
Personal growth.
Mm-hmm. I knew you would say that. What's the most amazing fact you know, if you can think of one?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll skip that one. What food do you love that a lot of people might find a little odd?
Ooh, I've grown a new love for octopus.
How do you like it cooked?
Okay, I've had it 3 times, 3 different places. My favorite so far has been at a restaurant in Sedona, and they char. And I don't know. There's all these seasonings and sauces, and oh my goodness, so freaking good. So good.
All right. What's the funniest thing you've seen recently online?
Oh my God. Have you seen the thing with the nails where they hang? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh my, I will send it to you. I actually shared it recently. Like, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, nail trends treatment. Wasn't it? There was like hair. Somebody was like putting hair on their nails recently, like eyebrows. Giving your nails eyebrows or something. Like some of these nail trends. I don't know. What are some of your guilty pleasures?
Hallmark movies. They're all the same, and that's okay. I still want to know how they end.
I know, because sometimes I think maybe they won't end up together. What has really taken a toll on you?
Parenting solo, for sure.
What do you wish someone taught you a long time ago?
Oh, to love myself.
I already know the answer to this one. What's your favorite car that you've owned?
My Jeep.
Your badass Jeep that you drive around in. That's so hot. What subjects should be taught in school but aren't?
What was it? I was gonna say economics, but more into that, just taking care of like your bills and finances, and we need that in school.
Life classes.
Yeah. Can we have a class on life, please? How to life?
There's a funny meme that's like, oh yeah, that Pythagorean theorem really comes in handy when I need to do my taxes. Right?
Or hand it off.
Right. What's your best my coworkers are crazy story?
It's funny because like right now I'm working at a gym, and it's funny because like I go in and I'm just there part-time, like very part-time, and I'm the only Pilates person, and this is like a bodybuilding gym. So I just go in, I go to my corner, I do my thing, and it's like the best people watching because I'm just so fascinated by what everyone's doing. And so and there's lots of videos always going on. So social media is like a thing. And so just the different videos that people are taking and things that they're doing or having their clients do, myself included, because there are some times where just do this. Just do it. It's funny.
What is the best pair of shoes you have owned?
Ooh, best pair of shoes. Probably one of my cowboy boots.
What's the weirdest way you've met someone?
Weirdest way besides online?
I know. I'm like, now it would probably be in person.
For real. I know. Yeah. Because meeting online isn't even that uncommon now. I actually have met quite a few people dancing.
What skill or talent would you most like to learn?
I'm pretty sure I had an answer to this. It is escaping me. I would say, I don't know. Like, I know, like, my finances, the thing that, like, is always on my, but this is also why I hire people. They take care of it. And I trust them, thankfully, but that's why I hire somebody, because I'm like, I have no idea like what I'm doing when it comes to like the taxes and how I should invest and save. And I don't know. I'm like, here, just do it.
Oh, this is good. What do you resent paying for most?
Resent paying for? I just recently paid somebody to do my laundry, which might be genius, but it's also like, I'm totally capable of doing this. But I was in a moment where it was overwhelming to me, and it was more valuable to not feel like that.
You know what? I agree. Like, I would pay more if curbside pickup cost $1 more. I would totally pay for it to not have to go into a store. What makes you feel old when you think about it?
Anything that my kids do, especially of like technology, like going back to like the TikTok thing. I'm like, I don't know what you just did. And my daughter is explaining to me, she's like, oh, I want to do this video when she was getting ready to decorate for Christmas in her room. She's like, oh, I'm going to do this like before and after video. But she's explaining to me, I'm like, my brain can't even process what you just said. And then I watch it and I still cannot even understand. I'm like, but how did you even, how does this work?
I know, like the whole, okay, I'm going to stand here in my pajamas and then go like this, and then I'm going to be fully dressed. I wish that's how real life worked. This is a good one for us. How well do you know your neighbors?
Right now, not at all. There's one lady that's like 2 doors down that we wave to each other because 3 years ago, I ordered some like hockey shirt. And she brought it to my door and she told me that she's like, yeah, I got this package. I was all excited because I thought it was for me, and then realized, nope, I didn't order this. Nobody else ordered it for me. So, and then I looked at the address and it was for you.
We definitely, our neighborhood over here was an anomaly. What was your worst haircut experience?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So in high school, I, did a job where I was a hair model. Have boundaries if any of you decide to do these things, because I was young and I'm like, sure, just do whatever you want. I came out of there with like an asymmetrical, colorful situation, and it was not in style at the time, nor did I want that. Calling my hair girl, crying, I don't know what you got to get me in right now. Like, I was not going to school looking like that. I was in high school. Huh.
Oh, here's a good one. What are you hilariously bad at?
Hilariously bad at. I almost feel like some of these like should be given to my kids and then they answer them for me. That is like what that, or this is like a good question for like a spouse too. Like, oh, what do you do? Like,
The answer would be everything.
right? Yeah. Ooh, hilariously bad at. Like, I will just leave things like cooking, especially in the toaster oven, all the time. I would say 9 times out of 10 I burn things. And my daughter is the one like, Mom,
take it out. You know, you can set a timer for that stuff.
Like, it has a timer. I just didn't know how much time it needed.
What's your favorite thing about the area, city, state you live in?
Well, it used to be that we could do anything at all times.
Mm-hmm.
That's not cool that now we have to live like everybody else. I'm not really digging that. Like, it used to be last call what? What do you mean I can't go grocery shopping at midnight?
What's something you're looking forward to?
Ooh, getting my business started. Yeah, I'm so freaking excited. So excited.
Do you prefer pens or pencils, and why? That's your last question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cleaner to me because I feel like it just smudges. And I feel like it also makes me kind of just be a little more careful because like you can't just erase it. You know?
Exactly.
And there's colors. Like you can use colored pencils, but that's just weird and no.
I have one last thing that I ask everybody who comes on here to finish this sentence. Just so you know.
Ooh. Just so you know, wherever you're at right now, could be a season, could be a transition, and you'll make it through. You'll be fine. Everything's going to work out, and everything is for you.
I like it. And I think going into a new year, which, not to spoil it for anyone, I had lunch with my friend Elisa, who she was on, I don't remember the episode number, but if you go back to October, maybe 22nd or 29th, 2021 is still going to be a little bit volatile, but we'll get through it. So that's good advice. You gave us some great information. We look forward to when you launch your business and you're going to be a practitioner and with a lot of therapy. And all I still got was hypnotherapy. Now, neurolinguistic practice and timeline therapy. We're very excited to see what it is you do with that. And you'll have to make sure I'm writing that correctly when I put it in the notes. So I just want to say, Megan Buckley, thank you for sitting here for an hour and a half with me and chit chatting. You can follow Megan on the Insta at _FitSolutions, FitSolutions_ or meganbuckley.com. And you can email her info@meganbuckley.com. I'll have all of those in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in for another week. As always, like us on the gram at JustSoYouKnow podcast. Follow us on Twitter at JustSo_YouKnow_. Subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your favorite podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, and more. And we will see you next time.